Hello, and welcome to my LinkedIn audio event, A Blueprint on Elevating Teams and Creating Leaders. I'm Maribel Rivera, your host for the next 30 minutes. Today, I'm joined by my friend Michael Sarlo for a conversation that promises to be as informative as it is inspiring. Michael is the Chief Innovation Officer and President of Global Investigations and Cyber Incident Response Services at HaystackID, which is a little bit of a mouthful, and has been at the forefront of integrating AI into legal practices, significantly advancing data privacy and cybersecurity solutions. The work of his team, particularly the Protect Analytics AI for Relativity, has set new standards in the industry, with some awards being won earlier this year. And it enables rapid identification and protection of sensitive data. Today, we're going to dive into Mike's career, his approach to innovation and leadership, and his commitment to social justice and access to justice through volunteer work with the Cancer Hope Network. And it exemplifies the powerful blend of professional excellence and personal compassion, which Mike has a ton of, I can say, just from working with him over the last year. Hi, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah?
Really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm doing great.
Good. Excellent. So I want to start off, let's talk a little bit about your journey, which has led to some remarkable advancements in legal tech, particularly in data privacy and cybersecurity. Can you share a little bit with us what initially drew you to the field of legal tech, and how your career path
Sure.
has evolved?
Yeah, so I think like a lot of people in this industry, I didn't anticipate being in e-discovery and digital forensics and cyber and incident response. I started my professional education, or at least my education, wanting to go to law school. So I was a political science major, philosophy major. I always was, I was always like really into like computers. I would build my own computers. I would fix computers in my neighborhood when I was a little kid. I, had a home, like recording studio. It was very, like technical. And in my college years, I worked at a restaurant, was a bartender and a server, actually putting myself through school. And I would actually fix the computers for several, like restaurant groups, these posi type systems, which is kind of my first foray into having to learn, like regulations around like on the credit card, like transactions and securing that data. This was kind of post 2008, like crisis on the wake of that. And then, I was on my third year of college and I got sick. I actually ended up having cancer, which I fought off and on for about like 2 years. I was lucky to be in the Boston area where I could be treated at like Dana-Farber. And then came back and took really a while to kind of become healthy again after an experience like that. But I finished up school. I basically did about a year and a half of school and a year to, wrap up. Started to work in the restaurant again. And at that point, the legal industry was changing. A lot of folks were, losing their jobs. The ability with the hyper billing that was going on and the euphoria of pre-2008 had changed. Like corporations were expecting a lot more from their law firms, and the restaurant I worked at was kind of a focal point for the legal and like political scene around like Beacon Hill. And so I met a lot of lawyers and they said, hey, you don't want to be a lawyer, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And I still kind of did. And, I had several friends who had left the restaurant and there was a place called Icon that was right above us. And they did, like litigation scanning. And everybody knows whose Icon is if you've been in this industry for long enough. And they also had a growing e-discovery department. And several of my friends were upstairs. They were making a ton of money. They were going in and scanning, like documents from all of the banks that had like collapsed or had like gone up. So they had these huge contracts. They were doing unbelievable. And I was waiting on somebody one day, and they said, "Hey, Mike, there's this new thing, like called like e-discovery happening. Like here, you'd be really good at it. You should come in for an interview." So I went in for the interview, and I stuttered quite a bit, and I didn't get a call back. And I'm pretty like persistent, and so I just kept calling and calling and putting pressure on. And finally, there was an opportunity to basically do like coding of slides in law, like pre-discovery, kind of sitting in that room. And so I glommed on to really some folks who I think are still some of the best in the industry. I'm like Richard Matheny, and I'm like Rich Schoen. They're over at Fitch and Richardson now, and they really like fast tracked me and like got me going and really like believed in me. And like pretty quickly I was an e-discovery like master as far as you could be with the tools that were available to you back then.
Yeah. Do you regret at all not becoming a lawyer?
No, I think I've been blessed to be I've been blessed to be like successful at what I'm doing. I think I provide as much value to my corporate clients and my law firm clients that I think their lawyers do. I'm very vocal. I'm very aware of the law. I'm not afraid to, you know, force my way in as far as being a technologist from a strategy standpoint is concerned. And I think that's really something that defines or maybe separates, the folks who are purely just kind of like taking in tasks and are doers versus those who are trying to be a consultant. So I've always tried to really like be a consultant anytime I've been involved in any case.
Excellent. So you did. I do want to just mention because you did mention having cancer as a young adult, which for me, you're still a young adult, but you were much younger. So this week is Young Adults Cancer Awareness Week. So, but we can talk a little bit more about that later on as we continue. What I do want to dive into is a little more about Protect Analytics AI for Relativity, which is a testament to like HaystackID's innovation. You've won an award earlier this year for that, your team. What challenges did you and the team face in developing an AI enabled platform, and how did your team overcome that?
Yeah, so I think partially we've been lucky to have really good clients that have steered us in the right direction as far as the use of artificial intelligence as it relates to sensitive data detection. There's so much happening in AI, and we started to develop these tools. We like knew that. So the first thing was really trying to get to something we could use right away to support our cyber incident response practice. And in that sense, it was like keeping it simple, picking the right engines, the right tool sets, really having a collaborative environment with different team members at different like parts of the organization, and being just like tactical. I think sometimes you know organizations tend to want to totally like map out their innovation like journey, and I think fast innovation happens out of necessity. And so definitely having those feedback loops inside the organization to understand what the needs of our clients were, what our capabilities are, and trying to get something to market internally even before it was public facing was a primary driver as far as the way we innovated for this product, but the way that we innovate in general here.
Right. And so, talking a little bit more about innovation and leadership, right? And just from being around Hal and the rest of the team over the last year and our partnership at ACEDS, leadership and innovation go hand in hand over there. So how do you encourage your team to embrace innovation and foster like a culture where they're feeling empowered to become leaders in their own right? Because I've met a lot of them. ACEDS does a monthly show with them on LinkedIn on the live stream, and it just seems to be absolutely amazing. So, would love to know more about how you empower them to become leaders in their on their own.
Yeah, so I think we're all like blessed to work with some really great leaders. I started with like Kevin Glass, our original CEO. And it's funny, you sometimes don't understand people's leadership style or it's how it's effective until sometimes maybe like years later when you look back on the way that you might want to handle things today. I've been really lucky to work with Hal Brooks and like Andrea Wallach. Andrea's our like president of Haystack. She came over when we acquired her company, like Night Owl. She's somebody who like built a company from the ground up, and was very like successful as a like single mom and a woman, and super happy to have her. And she's been a great mentor. And Al has cut me a lot of slack, and I think that's important, right? When you're like cultivating, like leaders, right? And, has given me really great advice and has created an environment here at Haystack where nobody's ever going to say, no, you can't do this if it's going to create value. And I think that's where organizations that get very large or they lose focus of their mission, they start to buckle. And if you're not encouraging your teammates and those, around you to take on new tasks, to provide value and, maybe in spots that are outside of their comfort zone, or hey, if you have a great idea, super accessible, you can call the CEO, you can call me, let's put it into play. I think that's just so important. And to me, giving folks that autonomy to control their journey is such a big aspect of what drives an environment that like cultivates leaders.
So it's not like a
And of course, innovation too, right?
yeah.
I mean, they do go hand in hand, right? As I'm talking about it out loud, it really does. You could just like swap out one word for the other.
Yeah. And so it's not just a focus on here goes top down leadership. We're going to tell you what to do, when to do it. It's more of okay, let's come together as an organization and if you have ideas and there's a strategy and plan behind it, we're open to listening and seeing how it can be implemented and work.
Definitely.
Okay. Awesome.
And I think it's important to have like tough conversations too, right?
Yeah.
It's important to identify for folks who work like with you and for you, what does success look like?
Yeah.
What does failure like look like? And I think a lot of organizations and some managers don't do that, and they just expect their team to really know what that looks like. And it's becomes really unfair for those who are overachieving or over like performing sometimes when their peers may not be towing the line in the trenches the same way. So really having kind of a clear line and a clear track on like what success is, and like being a collaborative like team member, like looking out for each other. I think those are the types of attributes we try to encourage and reward.
Awesome. So I know we've talked, and I've talked with your team on the critical importance of like data privacy and cybersecurity, especially since we're in e-discovery and data management overall, data governance. How do you balance that drive for innovation with ensuring like ethical standards and compliance are met?
Sure. So, we were actually one of the first companies in our space, or I think the first company, to have a chief artificial intelligence officer. And, obviously you're hearing was a lot of euphoria around AI,
Yes.
the day like ChatGPT, like first came out, right? And we knew that there was a big shift occurring. We've been following the large language model space. We were dabbling in those, and it's really about like responsible use of technology is where that we try to interact with technology in the way that we sell it to our clients. I think technology is a force multiplier for people. I don't think that's going away, and so we try to put guardrails around the use of technology always where individuals who might be using that have the levers available to them to vet it to make sure it's defensible, and so that it's an open box. There's a lot of tech out there right now. It's a black box that doesn't work with legal, right?
Right.
And so much about the use of evidence, right? The like Dobbert standard, right? It's about like repeatability when you're talking about like expert work product or in general about admissibility of like forensics, like evidence and like digital evidence is we have to be able to authenticate it and we have to be able to like reproduce a result. And so we build that into the way that we use our tools and the way that we provide like consulting services around the use of our tools or other tools that are like generally available out in the market. I think the way that our community has interacted with AI and our approach to AI and the discovery of the community, in particular as it relates to like technology assisted review, like math is math, right? And that's
Right.
the way we vet these systems is usually through a combination of like statistical sampling, like trying to achieve certain results on like control sets. You really need to be using like technologies that allow you to have that mathematical like authentication around like success. And this is where I don't think humans are going away in this process because that's the human element, right?
Right.
And it's important.
Extremely important. And given that, and just touching on how rapidly everything is evolving, right? Legal technology, um, and my involvement with ACEDs and Women in E-Discovery and just like professional development, continuous professional development. What how crucial, right, is ongoing learning for legal professionals? Like, if I didn't ask the question, I'd probably get a call from Mike Quateraro, but how crucial is it for ongoing learning for legal professionals? And how does the team at Haystack ID approach this?
It's so crucial. Um, it's so easy to be relevant one day and like and I'm like not the next, especially in a technology oriented like profession or even as an attorney, right?
Right.
Having access to like resources, be it like organizations like ACEDs and the incredible work that they do to help educate the community and to help folks stay like relevant through their certification process, or just through your peers, right? Being able to ask. I mean, when I was first starting our forensics practice at Haystack, um, it was challenging. I didn't have access to as many peers as I would like, and I quickly realized I needed to hire some folks who had some experience, right, doing this. This was back when we were, like three guys in a basement at our predecessor, like company that became like Haystack, and having that mind trust and really, you know, building a network of like vetted resources that you can learn from, that you can ask questions of, is so important.
Yeah. Definitely important for me, and I'm constantly telling people the importance of continuing education and getting their certifications. Or like, I don't have a college degree, so for me, everything I've built on has been through certifications and continuous learning in other areas. So I feel that it is extremely imperative. Um, so I want to jump back to some of what you talked earlier about your career path and how you got started. And you had a little obstacle when you were going through cancer as a young adult, and we talked about it's Young Adult Cancer Awareness Week. So I want to talk about, and you've been very vocal this past year about your cancer and being involved in Cancer Hope Network. And I know it plays a significant role in your life, and you're trying to do more around that. How do you I want to discuss a little bit more your commitment, right? And how that commitment influences your leadership style and your approach to fostering like a team culture focused on social justice, and other causes, right? Pro bono work, anything like that. How do you foster that team culture that's focused on those things?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is to enlist others, right? Especially when you're trying to balance your professional life and any type of volunteer work. Sometimes I think that allows you to maybe take on more than you can chew or you think you can chew. Don't take on more than you can chew, though, right? Because when you start to get involved in these organizations and when you're successful, they really do like need you. So you have to do the work. From a social justice standpoint, at Haystack, anybody who comes to us with a pro bono, matter, we typically, never turn it down. We're always looking for those opportunities. We're always looking to, have opportunities to, do the right thing. I think it's important for organizations to, give back. For me, I was really looking for a way to give back for many years, and had tried to get involved in different organizations, and couldn't really get into the level that I wanted to. And this opportunity showed up with Cancer Hope. I actually signed up to be a peer like mentor. So what Cancer Hope does at its core is it connects cancer survivors with usually freshly diagnosed cancer patients who are going through obviously a very tumultuous time as a mentor, and also for caregivers as well, because caregivers are equally suffer, and there's a lack of support out there in this kind of vein.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of folks who go through cancer alone. Statistically speaking, those who are kind of more invested in their care, who understand their cancer, actually have a better prognosis for survival. So I look to get involved in that organization as a mentor. And then, as we were talking, I was kind of, I guess, identified as somebody who could join really their young professionals advisory board as they look to modernize their approach to getting in front of younger clients. I think in younger in this sense, it's oftentimes folks under 35. When you're young and you get cancer, it's very isolating, right? You're supposed to be healthy, you're supposed to be living your life, and then all of a sudden you have something that you oftentimes associate with an older person, right?
Right.
And it really does something to you, right? It does something to you for the rest of your life that you never lose. And so, part of our mission is to get resources closer to that group, and obviously anybody who needs help. But I've been lucky to work with some really great people who are on that advisory board, and it's been really rewarding. I'm hoping to do more this year with that group.
Awesome. So we're coming. We've got 5 minutes left. I've got two more questions for you. And just given you and I've talked a lot about personal branding, you know how big that is for me, and making sure that your values and your mission align. So for those looking to make an impact both within our industry or whoever is listening who's outside of our industry, and their communities, what advice would you give them on balancing both your professional ambitions with your personal passions for volunteer work and advocacy?
Yeah, so I think it's just be authentic, right?
Yeah.
I think you can these can be one and the same, right? Your mission to do good can be pervasive across your professional life. I think that sometimes too, when you're languishing maybe in your professional life, right, doing something else like volunteer work, picking up a new hobby, right, or something that once you start to do it has this impact on your professional life, right, and you change. So I think that maybe it's not about trying to balance them. It's about trying just to do new things, right, whether it be volunteer work or any of those things that I mentioned. I think it can be tough, right? Folks are busy.
Yes.
I think any folks have families, right? They have obligations. Smallest things matter, right? Any organization that are going to maybe get involved with is going to be happy, with any type of contribution that you can make, right? These groups are filled with amazing people, and getting funding is very difficult. Fundraising is very hard in a nonprofit setting. You sometimes, end up spending as much money to do a fundraising event as you make, right? So it's really hard to find that balance of just doing it or not. And so, any way you can give back will be highly appreciated.
Awesome. So Last question for you basically is what anything else do you want to share about how to elevate teams and transform some of them into leaders?
Yeah, yeah, I would just say my final two thoughts there. My final thought is don't stand in the way of, like folks as a manager, right? I think some managers have this tendency to sometimes when, those they're training, right, when they're good, they keep them in a box, right? Don't be scared of those who you're training, who you're building into leaders to, like let them lead. The more that you let other people do things that sometimes you feel like is in your wheelhouse, right? It's a part of your role. It allows you to do higher level work. It allows you to make a higher level like impact. So lean on those folks, right? When you're able to lean on folks and who you've trained, who you're like mentoring, it's really a rewarding experience to see somebody like go from like A to B as far as their like leadership skills, their success, and really advocate too, right? In an organization, if you're working with somebody, if you're if you're mentoring somebody, if you're responsible for somebody and they're doing a great job, make sure you're trying to, to like reward them, be it through pay, be it through, like other spiffs, be it through like speaking engagements, being it through like going to conferences, being it through like getting out in the field. Folks are kind of just stuck behind their desk all day. They're so grateful when they get that mix up.
Yeah.
And it's so important to, you know, to build that in others. And it allows you just to have a much more, like diverse work environment.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So, I want to express my appreciation to Mike for sharing his insights, his experiences, and the impact of your work, and also like your personal story. Like, I've gotten to know one of the reasons why I did this with you today is I've gotten to know you a lot better over the last year, and you've shared like your cancer story with me and other things. And I thought we need to share this more. So thank you for being my second guest on my LinkedIn audio event show. And your leadership at Haystack, it's I love what they're doing. Your team is propelling a lot of technological innovation just based on awards that you're winning. And it sets a great and inspiring example of how like professional success and personal commitment can help make a difference and go hand in hand. For those who came and joined us and listened, or for those who are going to listen later on, we will have this recorded. I hope our conversation has inspired you to delve into innovation, leadership, and social responsibility. And reach out to Mike. He's available to talk about uplifting others, uplifting your team, mentorship, and of course, anything involving how you can get more involved in Cancer Hope Network and the Young Professionals Committee, right? Am I saying that? Advisory Committee?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And be sure to connect with him on LinkedIn if you haven't already. Mike, thank you once again. I appreciate you, my
Thank
friend.
you.
And I know
I
you're
appreciate you so much as well.
and I know you're off for a week of enjoyment with some friends. So I hope you guys have a lot of fun. Again, thank you to everyone for listening.
Thanks so much for having me. Have a great day.